what's up, guys? So this week on the podcast is an artist by the name of Printer. They're a younger person, and we just kind of discuss advice about going to art school, whether or not they want to be an artist full time, kind of figuring out where they want to take the next steps in their kind of artistic path or career. So if you're not into listening to me ramble and give advice, just wait till the next episode of the podcast. We have a really great one with Tim Packer coming up. He's a really successful artist, so he's kind of on the other end of the spectrum. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and thanks for watching. Hello, am I speaking with Printer?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. You?
I'm doing well, thanks. This is great. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Also, I apologize if my voice doesn't sound right.
No, it sounds good. It sounds good,
Yeah?
actually. Yeah, it sounds
Okay.
great.
All right, good.
Yeah, awesome. So, for a little bit of context, I'm just gonna kind of bring the listeners up to speed on who you are. So you are an artist that I found through Instagram. I believe, I don't know who found who first. Maybe you.
I think I found you first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess like we commented on each other's pictures or something.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, Instagram's great for that. It's easy to meet, other fellow artists and stuff like that. So that's something I'm always grateful for. So that's cool. So I got a little bit of context on who you are just through our direct messages, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of start from the beginning for everybody who does not know. So you are an artist based out of Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm from Canada. Yeah.
What part of Canada are you from?
Ontario?
Ontario. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not really originally from Ontario. I just kind of later moved to Canada.
Where were you from originally?
Well, I used to live in Russia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I guess I might have an accent. I don't know.
Yeah, a
But
little bit. I did notice that. I was kind of curious because it's not your normal Canadian accent, if you will.
yeah, so I'm originally from there. Yeah,
What part of Russia?
Moscow.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, two of the main you're kind of in two main cities throughout your life, Ontario and Moscow, kind of like the well-known cities of those countries.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. What was the transition like going from Russia to Canada?
Oh man. Well, it was all right. I mean, I kind of miss it, but it was okay. Just I guess it was really hard adapting to Canada, but at the same time not, because they're the two main countries that are that have winter
Right.
and are cold, so it was okay.
Snowy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's see, how long ago did you move to Canada?
I think I was 8 or
Oh, wow.
7. Yeah, that was that was a while ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think I moved to Canada mainly because, like, to learn English and study there,
Right.
that stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very nice. So you didn't speak any English or very little English when you moved to Canada?
Yeah, no English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a bit tough to
Yeah.
adjust to the school, and
I bet.
yeah, but it's all good now. So
Yeah, I had a really good friend growing up that I met in, I think it was 4th grade, and he was from Mongolia. I think he moved when he was maybe 5 or 6 years old. I could be wrong on that, but that was definitely a hard transition for him too. Even in 4th, 5th grade, he spoke good English, enough to understand at least, but it wasn't, there was still hiccups in his dialect and his choice of grammar and stuff like that. So I definitely I know a little bit about that and how tough that can be.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So The reason I thought would be really interesting to have you on today was, as forementioned in some of our messages, you're a little bit of a younger artist. Are you still in high school, or are you in college, or what is your deal?
Yeah, I'm still in high school, bro. Still here.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Stay in school. Stay in school.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of dreading that time of post-secondary education.
right. So,
Uh,
what is I mean, I'm sure it's similar in Canada. I'm not too familiar with how things work. I know there's colleges, obviously, like everywhere. But is there like community colleges and stuff like that out in Canada?
yeah, yeah, there is. But I don't think I'm gonna plan to go to one. But yeah, there definitely is certain community colleges. Yeah.
Right. What are you looking to do in the future? I mean, you don't plan to go into community college, so what is your are you just kind of play it by ear until you figure it out, or what are your plans?
Um, so I honestly like I'm still fuzzy with that, but
That's okay.
my like my mother, she lives in France and she wants me to like have my post-secondary education there.
Okay.
Um, I don't think I want to do that because I'm currently studying French and I'm not exceptionally good at it, in my opinion.
It's okay. It's a
So
hard language.
yeah, and I'm still kind of learning English and I'm trying to remember Russian. It's kind of all over the place.
That's
Anyways,
impressive. I mean, that's impressive though, because growing up here, I'm in California. Growing up in California, the main secondary language people learn is Spanish,
oh,
because there's a lot of Latinos, out here in California, and I'm sure it varies kind of depending on what side of the country you're on. But yeah, our primary secondary language is Spanish, but in the US, it's not really like required. And I know in like a lot of different countries, it's required to speak a second language or learn one at least
mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
primary school, or even secondary school. So yeah, that's something I've always been really impressed by, is anybody who can learn more than one language. First off, is that's pretty impressive to say the least.
Well, honestly, I think Spanish is the better language to know because, majority of the population speaks Spanish, from what
Right.
I've heard.
Yes,
But yeah,
that's very true.
yeah.
In Canada, I know that a lot of people there speak French, and there's like a lot of French. I don't know what you would call them, like not districts, but I know there's some sort of word for it, provinces, I think,
Yes, yes, provinces. Yeah.
and a lot of people there speak French. How much do you notice that being in Canada?
Oh, I mean, there's many French schools, and I have met a couple of native French-speaking people,
Uh-huh.
but I never talked to anybody in French
Gotcha.
in Canada, so yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always wondered about that. I should have done my research on why there's so much French speakers and French natives in Canada, but it's just one of those things that I never really looked into that much. But I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your future here. So your mom wants you to do your post-secondary school, which I assume is the equivalent to college, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, something like that. We had looked into it together, and we had found several image schools or something like image. I'm not sure. It's basically like very abstract art.
Uh-huh.
But I still don't know if that's gonna be possible or not. And I think I'm gonna actually do a preparation course thing
Right.
for a year before actually attending either college or university or whatever.
Right. So where
So,
where would you take a preparation course like that?
I have no idea. I have found some in Canada, but there is also several in France. But I think it's better to do it in France if I plan to study there,
Right.
so I can like adapt to the lifestyle, I guess, and
Definitely.
understand better. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. It's just interesting because it's pretty different than what your standard person would do going out of high school, like here in America or in California, especially. Like I know a lot of the way people do it around here is they just as soon as they get out of high school, they're pretty much forced. Most parents seem that it's you're like, a lot of the friends that I had at least, their parents like, oh, you're gonna go to a state college and then you're gonna study, you're gonna figure it out what you want to do, and you're gonna study and you're gonna live out there, and then that's it. You get your degree and you go to work. But I mean,
Yeah.
the reality of it is that the education system here in America, at least, is really it's overpriced, and a lot of people here go into debt. I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but a lot of people here go into debt quite a bit,
Hmm.
and we pay off loans pretty much for the rest of our lives unless we somehow land a job that gets us, a lot of
Yeah.
financial stability. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of a broken system in my opinion. I don't necessarily agree with it. I went through it sort of myself. I went to an art college, and we have a lot of colleges that are kind of, I would call them like not scam colleges, but they're art colleges that promise you like everything, and when you come out of it, you really get
Yeah.
what you put into it. So if you're not, it's not nothing's handed to you. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess.
like most schools just take advantage of artists who like want to go there, and then
Yeah,
they don't really help that much.
it's sad honestly because I mean, as an artist, you really strive to hope that you can make a financially successful career doing art and what you love to do. But a lot of these schools kind of prey on those people and make them think that it's going to be a lot easier than it is, and people get super discouraged when they come out of school with lots of debt and realize that it's
Hmm.
not as easy as they painted it out to be.
Yeah, actually, that is the main reason why my mom suggests that I study in France, because it is not like in America or Canada where you don't pay as much there,
Right.
surprisingly.
For
Um,
education.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's why
Yeah,
she's
I mean,
suggesting. But yeah.
that's a good it's a really good reason to think about because just as in my personal experience, I'm in probably like just a little under $50,000 worth of debt
Oh,
for my school, and I can tell you it's not a great feeling. And I
yeah.
and I knew what I was getting into when I did it. A lot of the reason I did it was my grandfather offered some financial assistance in going through with the schooling. So in that aspect, it was probably a smart move to take advantage of that. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I'm still regretting in many ways that I ever did it, because just being in that much, being liable for that much money, and not making enough to do that and or pay that off and pay house payments and all that, bills and all that kind of stuff. It it is it's stressful to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like a real struggle.
Yeah, it is, but that's the artist's life, right? The artist is supposed to have a struggle. I think that's what kind
Yeah.
of drives us.
Yeah, I actually know many people who like really are into art and like wish they have done it,
Hmm.
but they just end up taking like business
Right.
related things rather than art, because like they realize that it's going to be a real struggle financially, so they just go with the plan B.
Right, with the financially stable route, the one that they
Yeah.
know there's going to be more jobs in, and they might be able to get work, sooner out of college or something like that.
Yeah. But they can also like I know one person who actually did that, but they also, as a side job, I guess, they do like commissions like online,
Right, for
and
the art.
yeah. So I guess that's kind of smart, but
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good point because it's one of two, you really got to choose one of two paths. You either choose a path that you learn something that there will be jobs in, you will be able to make money in, and then you still keep that passion of doing your own hobby or art or whatever you want to do on the side, and then keep those two parts of your life separate, or you suffer and struggle trying to make it as an artist. And there's plenty of people who make it, so it's not like it's the end of the world for those who are struggling. Still there still might be a break in their artistic career, in the future, but it is definitely a choice to make. And I definitely did the same thing myself. I thought if I'm going to have to go deep into this art thing, or I'm going to have to, figure out what I'm going to do to make money and then just do my art on the side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think originally what my plan was, this is a little bit ridiculous, but I guess it's like, I really wanted to be an architect, I guess.
That's not ridiculous. No, that's not ridiculous at all.
Yeah, and I started taking like courses at my school. They provide some courses with AutoCAD. I think
yes.
You might be familiar because you do 3D related
AutoCAD
things.
is something I never learned because I didn't go into the architecture and infrastructure area of 3D work. I tried to do more. I wanted to do the creative route and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I thought that I didn't really reveal to my parents at the time that I like art more. So I thought, hey, architecture can be okay.
Right.
And I guess I kind of talked to them about architecture and took some courses, but I realized that I think I like creative art more than building the houses and the designing the rooms. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's funny you mentioned that actually. When I was in high school, I kind of did the exact same thing that you did. I told my parents, because I was afraid to tell them that I shouldn't say afraid, because they were very supportive.
Yeah.
They were very supportive of me doing art, and always were very encouraging of me doing artwork and stuff like that. But just financially, I knew it was going to be one of those things that for me it was scary to go into something and know that there may not be work. So I did the same thing. I was really into architecture. I thought the abstract architecture was really cool, and I know people did it and made money doing it, especially in like European countries. It's really popular. I see a lot of really cool abstract architecture and stuff coming out of their countries, but at the same time, I had the same thought as you. Is I really wasn't into it that much. Like, I liked it, and I thought it was interesting, but it wasn't like I couldn't see it as a passion of mine. And,
exactly. That's exactly how I'm right now.
Right.
Just
but it's a lot to take in, but it's good that you're thinking about it. How many years do you have left in high school?
Oh man. I think I'm graduating in 2019, basically.
Okay. So basically, like, just a little over a year.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's starting to get to that point where you're being forced to start thinking really long and hard about what you want to do.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm seeing like a couple of my buddies, like my art pals online, who are like, I think they're a year older than me, who already, started making their portfolios and preparing and everything, and I'm still thinking.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're in a position where you don't have to work to stay alive, I should say, like as long as you're in a position where somebody's helping support you in the meantime, it's always not a bad idea to take a little bit of a break in between high school and college, or whatever education comes afterwards, to kind of just give yourself that time to really truly think about what it is that you want and figure it out.
Right.
It's a thing that I took for granted, I think, when I was still in high school. And I think it's partially I just got lazy, and I just, I was just like not too worried about it. I was like, I'll figure it out when the time comes and that whole thing. But as it got closer and closer, I was kind of like forced to make a decision, and then pretty soon, before I knew it, I was enrolled in college and doing something that, at this point, had I had the opportunity to think about it again and do more research, I think I would have picked a different school.
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful, though, because I did meet people at that school just like me. We all had similar similar,
Situation.
yeah, similar situations, similar goals and stuff like that. And they're, to this day, they're like some of my closest friends. So, I mean, you can't put a price on friendship, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just one of those things. We all, even, all of us, we look back and we're like, man, if we had the choice to not go to this crappy school, we would have been doing something else. We would have been doing something else. So,
Yeah, I do believe it is important to take your time in making your decision, but even if you do make the wrong decision, it's not really,
oh, it's
you
not the end
know,
of the world. I mean, you can always
yeah,
go back. And
yeah,
and it's good that you have that outlook, because if you're stuck in the mindset that you're like, oh, well, what I do now is going to be the decision I have to stick with for the rest of my life. That's super not true at all. That's not, it's not a real truth. I I have another interview with a gentleman scheduled in the near future, and he made a video recently talking about how he was a police officer, I believe it was, or a sheriff,
oh
and
wow,
he had been doing it for, geez, I don't want to botch his story. I think it was somewhere around like 12 years or something like that. It
oh my God,
could have been longer, and I guess he had a very close friend of his in the service die through, he was like murdered or something by somebody, and he, at that point in his life, he realized, wow, I don't know. He always liked to do art, but he never, his father had friends in the force, and told him, you should just apply, and he got in that way. So once he kind of got that wake up call, he really decided, it's time to change my kind of like my life, goals and just everything that I want to do with my life. So he became a full-time artist, and he paints, and he's super successful. He runs his own publishing company, and I mean, he started doing that, I think it was in his 40s. I could be totally botching his story. I hope I'm not, but that is just an example that it's never too late to do what you want to do and be successful at it.
yeah, dang, that's crazy. Wow, I
Yeah,
can't.
it's a real it's a hard story, that he had to, very hard thing he had to go through, but it has a really good message that even a lot of people who are in their 50s or whatever may feel like, oh, what I've been doing is just what I got to do, and there's nothing else. I can't start now, I can't do something else, but you totally can. Life
Yeah, and you
is
know
long.
what? There's just so many people like that too. It's not only him,
Yeah,
and
exactly. There is a
so
lot of people like that. So, if you pick something and you decide that you may not enjoy it or like it, it's never too late to kind of just move on from that and try something new.
hmm
But yeah, it's something that I think about all the time, because even I'm 22, and like at times I feel like I'm stuck, doing what I'm doing. I take a job because I needed to make money, and um, and it's one of those jobs that it's not really related to the art field
hmm
entirely. So it's just one of those things where you feel like you're stuck. But that's why I started this podcast and tried to just kind of build my persona as an artist and all that kind of stuff, to try and get my my dreams to become more of a reality than just dreams. So
yeah, you know what? Good for you. I
I
was wondering why, like, you started doing podcasts.
right,
Like
yeah, and
that's a good, yeah.
thank you. Yeah, it's one of those things for me. I thought it would not only be fun just to do, because I love speaking with artists of all types. I mean, I just love the art community as a whole. So for me, it's something super cool to just be able to speak and kind of just have conversations with other artists and figure out, what their kind of viewpoints are on life and, art related things and stuff like that. But I also thought it would be helpful in situations like this, where I'm talking to somebody who doesn't 100% know what they want to do yet. They have an idea, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there like you who hopefully could take some sort of message, or some sort of value out of this conversation, and really
Right.
reflect on their own goals as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, I wouldn't say that I have the wisdom to give advice, but I can definitely give people my experiences and then let them take their own judgments from what they can from that.
Yeah. Also, I think it's sometimes nice to relate to someone like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to know that there's other people like this, and maybe it can help them in some form.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. It's sometimes as artists, a lot of us are introverts, so we like to, keep to ourselves and all that,
Yes.
and we like to bottle it all up, and we have all these emotions and feelings. But to at least hear somebody else in the same situation as you, say something like, "Oh, I don't know what I want to do," or have the same exact mindsets or feelings that somebody else does. I think it helps to kind of bring you out of, if you're having a little bit of a rut, you're stuck in a certain mood or whatever, and kind of having artist block. I think it helps to hear from somebody who's in a similar situation.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about you and your art. So I don't really know how I would explain your art. I know
Oh
I would
gosh.
describe it as illustration. I mean, it's very graphic. It's like a graphic illustration
Oh.
style. Not
Yeah.
not not explicitly graphic, but graphic in
Yeah, I
terms
got you.
of very bold lines, colors, black and whites, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yes.
So where did you start doing art? What's your superhero origin story for how you
Oh
started doing
man.
art?
Oh, my superhero origin. Well, honestly, I used to hate art like so much. I
Really?
know, yeah, most artists like say that they liked like they like drawing from their childhood, and
Right.
you know
Pretty common
that's
story you hear.
yeah. But like in my case, I really hated those like drawing lines and coloring books and the
Right.
really
Right.
unnecessary lessons like on how to draw a circle or something.
Right.
I just found them all pointless. I didn't know why people did art or why they liked it. Um, but I think I started to get more into art when I was 12, I think.
Okay.
Um, and mainly because I'm kind of a nerd.
Uh-huh.
I really like video games,
Okay.
and um, I think I just really like those character designs, and I would look up tutorials on how to draw like the characters, and um, I yeah, something along the lines of that. And um, after that, I stumbled upon a picture, and oh gosh, this is so embarrassing, but
No, please. I'd love to hear the embarrassing stuff. Please
well,
tell me.
well, as you know, I guess my style is kind of like
Yeah.
anime-ish,
Yeah, there's a
and
little bit of an anime
well, there,
proportions.
yeah, there. So there you go. I stumbled upon a Japanese style drawing with the ginormous eyes and the small mouth
Right, right, yeah.
and the really sharp chins,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
I guess I really liked it at that time.
But you
I
didn't want to
don't
admit it to
anymore.
yourself.
No, I mean I don't anymore.
uh,
But yeah, I really liked it, and I think that's my starting point where I actually um, got into it. But I didn't really go. I don't go out of my way to draw at that time as I do now.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I didn't consider it a passion. I just kind of liked it.
For
Liked
Did it
looking
for
at it.
fun and stuff like that, or just
Yeah,
whenever you're bored or whatever.
yeah, so after seeing that image, I got so curious and I want to see like more related pictures, and I had asked the worst person to help me, which was my dad. Um, yeah, so I asked him like, what is this? And he told me it was mango or something like
Yeah,
that.
mango.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like I think after a week I found out that it was manga
Right.
or manga. I don't know
Yeah.
how to
I
pronounce
don't know how
it.
to pronounce it either. Yeah, I was a big fan of manga or manga growing up, and yeah,
Yeah,
to this day, I literally have no idea how to pronounce it.
yeah, same. And yeah, then it went downhill from there.
Well,
Um,
that's cool though. I mean, it's interesting that had no real you had no real passion for.
Desire,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's crazy. that's really different because I mean, at least with 90% of the people I've talked to about art, I mean, almost every single one of them has enjoyed art from a pretty young age, definitely before 12, and especially if they're doing art like to this day, you know, more regularly, and they're kind of committed to
Mm-hmm.
it. So that's a cool, you know, that's a cool, interesting story, because it just shows you that everybody has different preferences for art. You know,
Yeah.
some art isn't for others, and some art is. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where a lot of criticism comes in art, because it's just about your preference of the proportions and the aesthetics of the image. And some people hate stuff, and you know, some people love stuff. And yeah, it's one of those things that it just shows you, you know, depending on who
Yeah.
you are, you can find inspiration in different types of art forms.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what makes me like especially scared for the future because maybe I'll lose interest or I don't know what's gonna happen, because I didn't like it before, but now I'm just like now whenever I look at a really good picture, I start crying because it's so good.
Right.
So I don't know how it's gonna be in the future, and I guess that's what I'm nervous about in a way.
Right. I mean, that's understandable. I
Yeah.
can see why. You know, you should. Yeah, that's something that you have to ask yourself. You know, is it worth, or not? Is it worth? How much does it matter? How much does art really matter to you? And is it
Yeah.
something that you? I mean, it sounds like when you find a picture, you're very emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you get a definite emotional reaction from it. So that's already a good sign that you are, in fact,
Ye-
an artist, and that you like art. So you know,
Yeah.
you can check that one off the list, that you know, that you enjoy certain types of art, which is totally fine. Some people, you know, some people are into abstract art, and some people aren't. You know, some people like a dot in the middle of a canvas, and some
Mhm.
people think it's worthless, and it's just really up to your perception. But if you do like art in some way or form, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things you don't get bored of. You might get bored of styles of art, but
Yeah.
you won't get bored of art as a whole. Like, you'll always find another piece or another style of art that maybe, you know, you'll get into. I think I've done the same thing. I've gone through many phases of art styles, and what kind of art that I like to look at and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like low key, I'm kind of a bad artist since like I would draw for like a month,
Uh huh.
like I'd be so motivated, then I'll see a picture, I'd cry, and then
And then you would stop drawing.
I'd stop drawing for a week. I would not draw like at all, and then I'd start drawing again, and then I won't draw. It's
That's
like
okay. That's okay though. That's not. I don't think I don't think that's unusual, actually. You may find it unusual, but for me, in my experience, I think that's something that a lot of us go through. I think it's one of those things. It's like demotivating in a lot of ways to see cool art, because
mhm.
then you try to recreate something similar or take inspiration, and then when you make something, it's like, oh man, like this is like not at all, you know, the quality or this, you know, what I was trying to do.
Yeah, this is not the result I
Yeah,
wanted.
exactly, exactly. But you know what? That is being an artist. I think is you have to,
Go through
yeah,
this.
you have to go through it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's even an artist who's successful to this day who's satisfied with their art. I feel like they'll always pick out something in their own art that they wish they changed or wish they would do differently or something like that.
Yeah.
And the demotivating stage, I think, is healthy, especially early on, because you learn to get those feelings. You know, you learn to kind of understand and deal with those feelings when you create art.
Mhm. Yeah. And I actually started I just remembered that I kind of regret starting with drawing anime because that is how I started, and like recently I've been looking through some forums like art based, and like most of the people are suggesting, oh yeah, you're supposed to start with realism, that's the only way to go,
uh,
because I mean it is true, because for like you have to know the real proportions of
Yes.
humans, and then
Yes.
you have to develop your own style later
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely.
But it is very hard to go back to that now, like start from scratch, because I have already got so used to drawing my way,
Right.
and yeah, it's kind of hard to start doing realism now.
I totally get that. To this day, I can get realistic proportions down. I understand when my proportions are off. And I do a lot of character art. I don't really do realism.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of taking classes with, figure drawing and figure sculpting and stuff like that, where you have like a naked person stand in the middle of the
Oh
room.
God.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
you have to just pretend like there isn't a naked person in the middle of the room and just draw based off
Avoid
of.
eye contact.
Exactly, exactly. So, and those classes are fun. I can definitely say that if you have the opportunity to take one of those proportion and life drawing classes, either once you're out of high school, maybe at a community college when you're in high school. I don't really know how it would work for you out there, but it's worth taking. And
Yeah.
I understand that it's hard because, like you say, you've kind of gotten used to your own style of drawing and how you're kind of used to drawing. But I think there's something, if you can look at it as like a lesson, just like a purely educational lesson on, like, separate your personal art from your educational art and just use it as a opportunity to learn, as opposed to kind of use it as an opportunity to be scared or not, excited or whatever. I think that might actually help you in a lot of ways kind of get over your fear of going from more stylized anime style art to, realism or still
Hmm.
life kind of drawing and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually do want to kind of be in between that style of uh like anime and realism. Like
Right.
I don't know. I really love that style, but I
Yeah.
can't get it right. I can't get it
Yeah,
right.
it's a tricky one too, because like some of those really big artists that you'll see who do just like amazing complex, work, that are
Hmm.
still anime, but also a lot of the proportions they've kind of refined to be more realistic and stuff like that.
Hmm.
They produce some really beautiful work, and it's really, and some of them make a lot of money doing it, doing commissions for like thousands of dollars and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty crazy what some of
Yeah.
these artists can do.
Yeah.
But if you ask, I think almost all of them, they'll all tell you that they took, a traditional still life drawing course, or, where they were taught traditionally in art school how to do art and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's always good to take advice from those who are, those who've done it and you kind of look up to.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It actually goes the same with traditionally drawing art and digitally, because
Hmm.
I did first start off with traditional, but in the end, I just decided to full on do digital, and I had completely forgotten how to do traditional. So I'm a bit disappointed with that too.
Oh, it's
But
it's easy, isn't it, to just have the ability to just undo instantly your line and then just redo it 1,000 times until you feel it looks
yes,
right.
Control Z,
Yeah,
Control
Control Z is
Z.
amazing and also a curse. It's a big curse.
Yes. Oh, because you can't do that in real life.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, once you make a line down in real life, even if it's pencil, you still have to pull out the eraser and, go ahead and spend the time to erase it. And if you work
Yeah.
that line too much on that piece of paper, your paper gets warped, your image gets all screwed up. So
Yeah. Exactly.
it's one of those things. It's You got to kind of figure out a way to manage both.
Hmm.
I work a lot in digitally, and I do also
Yeah.
work a lot. I've tried. Personally, I always love to have a sketchbook. I think there's something great about having a physical thing you can carry around with you.
True.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
convenient and all that kind of stuff, but it does come with the downsides. It's not, you can't make iterations like you can digitally and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a benefit to there's a benefit, and there's also, a negative side to it as well.
Mhm.
But I think if you ask a lot of fine artists who do traditional sketching or painting, oil painting, stuff like that, they'll tell you that, oh, a real artist knows how to use a, pencil and, use ink and all that kind of stuff. And that's true, but there's plenty of people who don't do anything traditionally and all they do is digital and their work is absolutely amazing. Um,
Mhm.
so, I mean, I feel like your skill isn't based off whether or not you do traditional or digital. It all carries over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all carries over.
Mhm.
Who are some artists that really inspire you that you like look up to either on Instagram or on wherever else you find artists?
Oh man. Well, I personally I really like some of the really detailed and precise artists I know. Like there are many different types of artists and all of them are good at drawing. Like it doesn't necessarily have to look realistic. You
Right.
just need to be original and like have your own style. And
Absolutely.
that's considered art. Like it's not only being like really realistic, you know?
No,
Um,
not at all.
yeah, but personally, I think my biggest influence would be this person on Instagram called Death Burger.
I love the
Um,
name already. I'm pulling up this. I'm pulling up their account right now.
yeah, they're pretty great. I kind of like the cyborg thing. They have a kind of like a robotic art style, I guess they use.
Ah, yes, I know this artist.
Oh, do you?
I do know this artist. Yes,
Yes, I don't know why I'm so intrigued by their art, but I just really like the small details that they
yes.
use.
I love it. Yeah, his stuff is amazing. He's a great example of that whole thing where it's proportion and stylization together to create semi-realistic illustrations. I wouldn't say they're realistic; they're very graphic in many senses, but the proportions of his characters and the people he draws do have a certain level of realism.
Right, yeah.
Um,
And I think another one, which is a little bit subtle than the Death Burger, I think, I don't know if it's a female or male or whatever, but their name is Chen Bear Pig or something. I don't know. These names are kind of weird,
no,
but
I mean this is the reality of Instagram. People pick amazingly ridiculous names, and
yeah,
I
you
love
know
that.
what? That's why I love Instagram so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, let's talk
Um,
about your Instagram handle.
oh, oh, I don't think so. Oh my gosh, not okay.
I love how your Instagram handle changes quite a bit. And also what I also love is how much you vary from different when I addressed you originally on this podcast, you told me that you go by Printer, which was a name you came up with really early on
Oh
in your
God.
artistic you don't
Oh.
have I'm not going to make you explain it if you don't want to. But
Well, there's nothing really to explain.
it's just a
I
name,
just,
right? Just a
yeah,
name
it's
you
just a
chose.
name.
Yeah. So, yours right now. Do you mind if I say it out loud, or you want to keep it anonymous? It's totally up to you.
You know what?
If you don't want the
You
plug,
can say it. You
okay.
can say it.
So
It's cool.
right now it's Drugstore Cowboy, which is just awesome. And I feel like it was something else when you first started following me on
Yeah,
Instagram. I don't remember
yeah.
what it was exactly.
You know what? Me neither. I don't remember. I think it was something in German.
Oh, okay, okay. So, yeah, so now it's Drugstore Cowboy, which is cool. And we have all these crazy names like Death Burger, and
Yes.
just stuff like that. So I love that about Instagram. There's just something. I just messaged somebody the other day, and his name was Oyep,
Oh,
Oyep,
yep.
Oyep,
Wait. Oh, yep.
yeah, Oyep. That was his name.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
you get some interesting ones. I'm going through here on my DM and looking to find any more ridiculous ones, but doesn't look like it's happening right now. Um, but yeah, so anywho, that's something cool about Instagram. I think is you'll find artists who have some pretty interesting names, but let alone their art is really cool. But going back on track as we're going a little off track. So
Yeah.
so the person that we were just talking about, who was the one before Death Burger or after Death Burger that we were
Uh,
talking about?
her
Chen Bear
or
Pig.
Chen Bear Pig. Do you want me to spell it out?
Is it CHENBER pig? Is that the right one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at their stuff, and they do some really cool stuff. It looks like they do a lot of kind of like concept art, if you will. I don't know
Yeah,
if
you know
that's
what? I just I love concept art. It's my favorite. So
well.
I
That's
think that's why I love it.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you were saying was that's what got you kind of into art, right? Because you said you like to play video games, and you would look up concept art for a
Yeah.
lot of the video games, and that's kind of something that helped kind of spark your interest in learning to draw and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool because I think there's actually several schools here in California that are concept art based schools. I would say I don't know if they're concept art based, but a lot of them are based around doing art for film and games and TV and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
A lot of them
Yeah.
A lot of them focus around environment art. Some of them focus around, some of their courses focus around hero character art and creature design, stuff like that. That's one of the ones I'm really big into is creature design. I've always liked creatures and stuff like that. So I love looking at concept art of all sorts, especially kind of like mech, human, cyborg kind of stuff is
Oh
stuff
my
that.
God. I love yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
just
no, no,
love
please.
it's
Yeah. It
perfect.
is, isn't it? It's like there's something so cool about especially that like what would you call it? I think it's like
Um
cyberpunk kind of like
yeah,
sci-fi stuff.
cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it's called.
That
Yeah.
stuff is super cool.
Yeah. Uh, honestly, I'm just striving for that path. I
Right.
love cyberpunk. I don't know why. It's just so enticing to me and pleasing to look at.
It's something about that like technological kind of like look mixed with kind of future human design like
Yeah.
clothing and
Yeah.
helmets and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's good.
Did you watch the Ghost in the Shell live action movie?
Oh no, I didn't,
You
but
haven't.
I really wanted to. I saw a lot of fan art on
Yes.
Instagram for it, and it's perfect. I think I don't know if you know, but there's this Russian artist called hold on, I think it was Ilya or something.
Ilya. Um,
Kuvshinova Idia.
how
Do
do
you
you,
know them?
no, how do you spell it?
It's
Mm-hmm. I'm
KuvshinovaA.
following them already actually.
Oh yes, I
Yes.
think she or he because it's a male name.
Okay.
Um, they did some fan art and I was just like whoa,
Yeah, they do
and
some really really cool stuff.
yeah. So I think this is what I think art actually also like spreads news around.
Right.
Like I didn't know what Ghost in the Shell was before I saw fan art. Or
Oh, really?
anything like that. Yeah, like it's always like this for me. Like I don't know the fandom before I actually see the fan art.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. I think that's a great thing about the art community. There's this the fan art side of the art community. It's not only it helps spread the word about a lot of movies or even people do fan art of other people's art, which is cool.
yes,
And
yes,
and when the artist is down with that and appreciates that, it makes it all that much better. But yeah, it's cool. It's a good way to learn about things because I swear I learn all the time from art. Either seeing fan art or sometimes on my Instagram feed, the person who actually worked like in the concept art department for a movie or something that I may not have known or heard about is posting their work that they did.
oh wow,
And
yeah,
I find out about the series or whatever that is their project they're working on through that.
hmm
But yeah, that's super cool. So if you're into cyberpunk and stuff like that, and that whole sci-fi kind of future stuff, I would definitely look, or at least try and watch that movie if you can figure out a way to rent it or
yeah,
or illegally stream it if that's your
Yeah,
your
I
forte?
always that's the way to go. Actually,
Not
I
not.
pirate a lot of also the art programs because
Yes,
I'm
I feel like,
poor.
okay, this is an interesting topic because it's something that a lot of artists don't talk about. I feel like maybe 90% or more of artists who started out doing like digital art for their first time pirated softwares just to try it out.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly I have probably all of the popular art programs and I only use one.
Right? But it's
But
good.
yeah,
It's a something you want to do because you want to explore those programs and see if you like them.
yeah, exactly. I know many artists don't admit that they got them illegally,
Right.
I guess. I don't know. Is it
Well,
illegal?
I mean, it is. I think I'm pretty sure it's illegal under. It's only legal under certain circumstances. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to torrent things off the internet.
Well,
But
you know what? This conversation never happened,
yeah,
so it's
this
okay.
conversation is merely a figment of the listener's imagination. However, on a real ass note, um, yeah, I think that's a really common thing that people do because not everyone who's interested in learning art programs has the money to either pay for a subscription, like right now Adobe has. They have a Photoshop subscription. It's like $10 a month or something like that, and then you
Hmm.
can have Photoshop and use it all you want or whatever. But not everyone has the funds to pay for that kind of stuff. And I feel like in any sort of situation where you're just trying to learn and use it for educational purposes, I think it's a great, I mean, I don't think it should be wrong only for profiting off of using the software and
Yeah,
making lots of money and you didn't pay for it at all. I think that's where it kind of goes into a gray area.
yeah,
But besides that, I mean, I think it's in my own opinion, I think it's totally fine to obtain softwares like that just to teach yourself, you know?
yeah. Especially if you spend all your savings on the tablet that you
Exactly.
got, and then you also,
Exactly.
on top of that, have to get a freaking program for it.
Yeah, like a $600-700 program. I mean, who can afford that, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a great point. I'm glad we spoke about that because that's a kind of a taboo. People get a little sore when you start talking about pirating programs,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
understandably so.
Yeah, you know what? I got so frowned upon. Like many people just like, oh, don't you have a bunch of viruses on your computer now? Or like, you're gonna get caught. No, I'm not.
No, I mean it's there's ways to get around being found out for sure.
Yeah,
But in the artist defense, if you're just using it for your own personal education, I mean, I really don't see anything punishable by.
wrong.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
really should not be illegal in any means. And a lot of softwares they do have an educational, you know, plan or program you can pay for that's a lot cheaper and stuff like that. But at the same
yeah,
time, I think they should just offer free educational software, if anything, because that helps bring the community up as a whole.
yeah. But I did come across some free art programs that are actually really good. Like
Like what?
there's one called Krita. I don't know if you heard of
Yeah,
that.
what's funny is that the last person I spoke with an artist a couple nights ago, and she told me the same thing.
Oh yeah? Does she
Yeah,
use it?
she does, or no, does she? Yes, she uses it. She's not she only has done digital art a couple of times, but yes, she uses
Oh.
it, and she said it's really good.
Oh yeah, it is especially if it's like if we're a free program, it is top notch. And there's also another one called Medibang or something along the lines of that.
Huh.
It's you can also get it on phone,
Oh,
but
okay, gotcha.
I don't know.
Right.
It's cool.
What do you use?
um I I use Photoshop.
Okay,
Um
a,
I know
a legally obtained version of Photoshop.
I'm what are you talking about? What legally obtained? Of course not. I got that fair and square.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, nah, but sometimes I feel a little bit ridiculous for using Photoshop because that stuff is for professionals. I'm not a I'm not close to being professional,
No,
so
no. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like it's there because I mean, it's there for everyone of all, of all types. And if you don't use it, I mean, no matter how professional you are in your art career, if you don't learn to use it, I mean, when you start to learn to use it, you're always going to be like a baby at it. You're never going to be like, I mean, never right out the box are you ever going to be super good at Photoshop. So the only way to become a pro is to learn how to be the pro.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. I'm glad that you're using it, and it's kind of a standard anyway across the industry. So Photoshop definitely is one of the ones to learn.
Yeah, but frankly, I think it also depends on my mood. Like sometimes I
Right.
would use Photoshop, sometimes a different one, but it's mainly just Photoshop. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you ever use what is it? Krita? Credo?
Krita.
Krita?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I used it a couple of times, but I think I messed up like the layout or something, and I couldn't find the brushes, and I'm not really good at computers, so I didn't know where to find anything, so I kind of gave up. Yeah, I think I used it once. Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, new programs, they're hard to learn, so totally
Yeah.
understandable.
Oh,
So
what do you use? Photoshop?
yeah, I use Photoshop for when I do like concept art stuff. There's a little bit of my concept art stuff there on my Instagram towards the very beginning of it all.
Oh,
Most of it,
really?
yeah, just a little bit. I think I posted a few of the concepts that I did while I was in school. I took a concept art class from a really awesome teacher that was only at my school for the one semester that I had her class. So I feel very fortunate and lucky to have taken her class. And she was primarily a concept artist and also what they call a color. Oh geez, I'm blanking on the term. But essentially, what she does is she picks out colors for because she's a coloring and shading artist as well. So she has um, a really good perception of color and color theory. So a lot of the jobs she worked at places like I think it was DreamWorks for a little bit doing some color. Oh geez, I cannot believe I'm blanking on the terms.
It's
But
all right.
yeah, she was basically just picking out colors and kind of understanding the color mood for the movies. Because if you look in a lot of films, like especially Pixar or DreamWorks or Disney films, there's like a color map is kind of like a timeline from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, just showing you what kind of colors they kind of shift the movie through, kind of like the
Hmm.
main colors they use. So a lot of movies they'll start off bright and orange and happy, and towards the middle it gets dark because there's some sort of conflict or something, and then the end it's some sort of neutral color again, where it's kind of signifying that they've resolved issues
Right.
like that. And I mean, the more you look at it in movies, the more you'll start to notice it. But yeah, anywho, I took her class. She's a really good concept artist as well, and
Hmm.
she kind of taught us tricks in Photoshop that were absolutely like incredible and that I had never even known you could do with Photoshop. It kind of like tips and tricks and sort of, her own little things that she's picked up. So I did some concept art in her class for only one semester, and it probably lasted a total of 2.5 to 3 months. And because my
Hmm.
semesters were very short, they were like half the time of a normal semester.
Yeah.
So but yeah, this it was a class. If you find any way or any college that allows you to take a concept art class, I would highly suggest it. It's super inspiring and like kind of
Yeah, it
really
looks really
informational.
cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I wanted to do that for a while, and then I kind of had similar problems that we spoke about earlier, where you see other people's amazing concept art, and you're just like,
Oh God.
yeah, like screw it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to do this anymore. There's enough good people out there. So
Yeah.
I ran into the
Yeah.
same
You
issue.
know what? I don't even know why I like art. It's just so painful, but it's so good. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's good. I'm glad that it's a sign that you're a true artist, and that I think you're going to be here to stay, because if you find art that emotionally just destroys you on the
Oh
inside,
God. Yeah.
but at the same time you're still doing art, And even if you're taking breaks, you're still picking up the pencil a week later or picking up the tablet a week later. That's a good
Mhm.
sign. That's a good sign, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
go ahead.
yeah, I'm also looking at some of your work, and I'm really impressed with the 3D. Like,
Oh,
how is that
thanks.
even possible?
It's
I
a
can't
lot easier
imagine.
than you would think, actually.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
I
What
mean, I
what
learned it all in like less than a year, I would say.
how, uh, did you what program did you do that on?
So
Also?
there's a program that I think you would like, and I would try and look into maybe just at least start watching some tutorials on it and see if it's something that you feel like you could do. But one of the programs I use, if it's something you're even interested in, is called ZBrush. And
ZBrush.
yeah, ZBrush is a really popular one amongst visual effects companies that do 3D art, I should say. And a lot of concept art, believe it or not, is done in 3D first.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them. A lot of concept art, like a lot of people who do concept art for movies who work in ZBrush, almost all of their art or a lot of their personal art is all stuff that's made in 3D and then they render it out and lots of times paint over it in Photoshop or texture it within other 3D programs.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really interesting, and it was kind of after I decided I wasn't going to be an actual 2D concept artist. I thought, okay, maybe this ZBrush thing is a little bit more up my alley. It's kind of like working with clay. It's like you have a sphere, and then you have tools that you can choose, and with those tools, you can manipulate that sphere in different ways. They're almost as if you're actually working with clay tools. So
Hmm.
there's like a move and push tool where you can just kind of move blobs, and then there's different tools where you can actually cut into the shape and kind of refine shit, stuff like that, and smooth it out or whatever. So
Oh wow.
yeah, I would look into it. There's a lot of free resources on YouTube for art programs like that and other related ones. Um,
Uh-huh.
and if I had advice, I would say just do a lot of YouTube searching for stuff that you want to do. Like, just Google, like you just YouTube, like how to do concept art or how to create characters in Photoshop or whatever, and you'll find some really amazing tutorials absolutely for free, which is incredible. Like less than like 10 years ago, you would never find stuff like that for free on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're definitely lucky in that sense that you're able to at this point get all those resources and kind of mess around with stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We're moving up on the 1 hour mark here, or an hour and 2 minutes now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this time flies by when we're doing these interviews. Just conversations
Yeah.
make time go by so fast. But
Well, art is an interesting topic to talk about, so.
it is. I feel like I could talk with artists for the rest of my life about it, and
Oh my God.
there would never be a moment where there wasn't something new or interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I hope for the best for you and your endeavors. I really hope that you can. I hope my insight into stuff I've had to deal with maybe has helped you in some sort. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
it's. I mean, maybe it's helped you. Maybe it'll help you contemplate further on the kind of path you want to take.
Yeah, you know what? This podcast actually like really opened like I got more insight, and I'm really glad I did this. Like I honestly I wasn't very keen of doing this,
That's
but
okay. We can be
I
honest.
did because experiences. Why not?
Right. Right.
And you know what? It's been really super helpful, and like thank you. Like
Of course, no.
yeah, it's good.
And I'm always on the Instagram. If you need to DM me, have any questions or anything at all, just you want some advice or motivation or whatever, I'm here. So just take into consideration some of the upsides and downsides to doing art full time. I hope for your sake and my sake, because I like your art, I hope that you
Oh.
decide to go forward because I see all the potential that you have, and I think it would be really cool to see you doing art in the next 5 years and still see what you're up to and see how much your stuff has changed, or maybe by then you'll be doing like cyberpunk stuff, or maybe your whole thing will kind of change. And I mean, I know my art certainly has changed so much over the last, I don't even know. I honestly have no idea how many years it's been since I've been out of high school. I think it's like been 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
But yeah, it's crazy to see how much your art can change, and don't hold yourself hostage to doing only one thing, I think is a really big part. Be open.
Yeah, that's what artists have most problems with. That like they can't. It's very difficult for them to try new things. And
Definitely.
yeah, but yeah, thank you for that advice.
Yeah.
I really hope you continue too, because your art style is pretty like original.
Thank you.
I like it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still even in this late into my artistic life. I've been doing it for my entire life, basically. Even still, I have struggles figuring out what I want to do or how I want my styles to look, and I end up doing a little bit of everything, which I don't know. It's a good and bad thing. So, yeah, we're in it together. I think a lot of us are.
All of us are.
Yeah, we're all in it together. So, I appreciate your kind words, and I hope some of my insight has given you a little bit of something to think about.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, I wish the best of luck to you. Hopefully, I really hope to hear from you again in, the future, and have you, explain to me what has changed and everything. And it would be cool to maybe see where you're at in a few years from now, and maybe we'll have another conversation.
Hopefully that I will follow through.
Yeah, you definitely should. I think you should.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's good talking to you, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Okay. Yeah.
All
you
right.
too.
All right. Thanks, Printer.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.